As technology has progressed throughout the era of video games, fewer and fewer technological limits have been placed on scoring. Although composers were once greatly limited by the sound capabilities of gaming platforms, advancements over the last few decades have completely destroyed these boundaries. The only limit to video game music is now creativity. With this unbound creativity, many composers have reached into the world of symphony orchestras. This incredible medium has provided an unmatched experience in video game scoring. From epic battle music to beautiful overworld themes, today on High Score, we will be exploring the symphonic world of video games. True orchestra music would not be possible until around the 64-bit era. The advent of sampling in video games allowed for the use of MP3s to play pre-recorded sounds. It wasn't until the next generation of video games that composers truly took full advantage of this, creating entire scores from pre-recorded pieces. This included games like Okami, Final Fantasy, and Halo, which is a series that probably deserves a video of its own. Symphony orchestras were a new territory for video games. Many famous composers such as Koji Kondo and Hirokazu Tanaka were not classically trained but still took these wild endeavors in full stride, evolving their established styles with series like Mario and Zelda to fit this new modern orchestration style. Listening to the original themes of these games compared to their fully orchestrated counterparts shows how they didn't stray too far from their roots. Right now we've been hearing the orchestra adaptation of the Legend of Zelda main theme, performed by the Legend of Zelda 25th Anniversary Symphony. Jumping from digital to orchestral was a pretty big deal for some franchises. I personally remember watching Shigeru Miyamoto present the Legend of Zelda 25th Anniversary Symphony at E3, which launched a slew of anniversary game releases, events, and even a worldwide concert tour that continues to this day.
There we go.
The transition to full orchestra music had its biggest kickoff in the 16-bit era, when audio sampling technology started making its way to consoles. These samples were very low quality and often only used for sound effects or percussion. Even in the 64-bit era, these samples were pretty low quality, so to prioritize storage space, many developers used a mix of sampled and sequenced music, making great use of MIDI sounds for composition. Once game consoles began using discs, they saw enough storage space to bring high-quality recordings into the gaming world. As video game soundtracks started to be created with symphony orchestras in mind, many studios sought out classically trained musicians, giving rise to greats such as Martin O'Donnell and Harry Gregson Williams. Following this progression of video game composing, it's easy to forget the original styles of making video game music. Even though composers are no longer bound by the limits of technology, that doesn't mean that fully orchestrated soundtracks are always the right choice. Considerations when scoring a video game must be made depending on things like art style and direction. Full symphony orchestras can create a beautiful sound, but this can be jarring when used incorrectly. Take, for example, Shovel Knight. This 2014 title from Yacht Club Games takes a great inspiration from the Castlevania series, which itself has fully embraced full orchestration. However, Shovel Knight bases itself on more of a retro aesthetic with pixel sprites and environments. This will make fully orchestrated music feel out of place. Let's take a listen to this battle from Shovel Knight. And now, compare it to the same battle using music from a newer Castlevania game. Although both pieces of music somewhat evoke the same mood, the retro sounds better fit Shovel Knight's art style. Not always the case though. Undertale made use of an acoustic recording. Although it's not a full orchestra, the piece does contrast with the rest of the game's electronically produced music and 8-bit art style. This contrast is capitalized upon in the game's themes and, well, you should just watch this video here from GameScore Fanfare on why this piece is so poignant. Now, orchestra-style music was used before actual full orchestrations were recorded for video games. Many pieces composed in the 16 and 64-bit era emulate symphony orchestras. However, orchestra compositions are usually better presented when played by an actual full orchestra. Take, for example, this early trailer for Super Mario Galaxy.
It's me, Mario!
This trailer was created using music from an early stage of production. In this stage, the music was still computer generated. Compare that to the finished product. The difference is astounding. You can see how much this can add to a soundtrack. I made a video here that makes it easier to hear the differences and similarities between these two versions. Pop in some headphones and check it out here. Now, using full symphonies in video game soundtracks is a challenge. It's incredibly costly and time-consuming, but when done right, it creates an amazingly immersive experience. Looking at these cases of orchestra and gaming gives a great retrospective of sound technology progression. Video game music has really come a long way. The roads that composers used to travel by have paved the way to amazing new possibilities. Although they never disregard where they came from, they look ahead to the future of scoring. This doesn't just mean bigger and more grand music, but more inventive and creative pieces. Symphonies have become an amazing thing for video games, and one could argue that gaming has also contributed a lot to symphonies. Taking away technological limits has truly shown us the symphonic difference of video game scoring. Thank you for watching this episode of High Scored. I'll see you next time.